MARPOL Annex 4, focusing on the prevention of sewage pollution. It details the regulation concerning sewage treatment, discharge standards, designated special areas, and the necessary certification and record-keeping procedures. The International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships is a comprehensive international maritime treaty aimed at minimizing pollution of the marine environment by ships. Annex 4 of MARPOL, especially addressing sewage pollution, set forth stringent requirements for the management of sewage generated on board. The report provides a detailed overview of these requirements, highlighting their significance on protecting the marine ecosystem. MARPOL Annex 4 applies to all ships of 400 gross tonnage and above on international voyage. It also covers ships of less than 400 gross tonnage carrying more than 15 person. This broad scope ensure that the significant portion of the global shipping fleets on the subject to this crucial environmental regulation. The core requirements of MARPOL Annex 4 revolve around the proper management and disposal of sewage. Ships must be fitted with either an approved STP or holding tanks or a combination of both STP sewage to meet discharge standards, while holding tanks store sewage until it can be discharged in accordance with regulation of transferred assure of a reception facility. MARPOL Annex 4 establishes strict discharge standard based on the treatment level of the sewage. Treated sewage is permitted only beyond 3 nautical miles from the nearest land. Discharge of untreated sewage is only permitted beyond 12 nautical miles from the nearest land. These distances are crucial to ensure sufficient dilution and minimize the impact of coastal environments. Certain areas designated as special areas by the International Maritime Organization have even striker discharge regulation in these areas. The discharge of untreated sewage is often completely prohibited, reflecting the heightened sensitivity of this ecosystem. Example of special areas include the Baltic Sea and Mediterranean Sea, the rate of which treated sewage can be discharged is also regulated and must comply with the standards set by the IMO. This ensures that the discharge does not overwhelm the capacity of the receiving environment to process the pollutants. Ships are required to have a standards discharge connections to facilitate the transfer of sewage to shore-based reception facilities. This is crucial aspect of the convention promoting responsible sewage management in ports and reducing the resilience of overboard discharge. Ships must be often an international sewage pollution prevention certificates demonstrating compliance with MARPOL Annex 4. This certificate is subject to regular survey and inspection. Furthermore, ships are required to maintain detailed record of all sewage discharge and treatment procedures. This record this records keeping it is essential for monitoring compliance and identify potential areas of improvement. While MARPOL Annex 4 establish strict discharge standards, certain exceptions are allowed under specific circumstances. Discharge is permitted if it's deemed necessary to ensure the safety of the ship or to save lives at sea. This exemption prioritize human safety in emergency situation. Discharge may be allowed if it's result from accidental damage to the ships or its equipment. Provide all reasonable precaution were taken to prevent or minimize the discharge. This exemption acknowledge unforeseen circumstance but emphasize the importance of preventing pollution whenever possible. Enforcement of MARPOL Annex 4 relies on the two-pronged approach. The plug state of the ship and the port state control of a ship. MARPOL Annex 4 represent a significant step towards protecting the marine environment from sewage pollution. The regulation, while stringent, are essential for maintaining the health of our ocean and coastal areas. Continuous monitoring, enforcement, and improvement in sewage treatment technologies are crucial to ensure the long-term effectiveness of this vital international treaty. MARPOL Annex 5, the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, is a comprehensive international treaty aimed at minimizing pollution of the marine environment by ships. Annex 5 of MARPOL, especially addressing garbage set forth requirements for the management of garbage generated on board the vessels. This report provides a detailed overview of these requirements, highlighting their importance in protecting the marine ecosystem. MARPOL Annex 5 applies to all ships regardless of size or type operating internationally. This broad scope ensure that a significant portion of global shipping fleet is subject to this important environmental regulation. The regulation cover a wide range of waste material commonly generated on ships, including plastic, paper, rag, glass, metal, and food waste. The core requirements of MARPOL Annex 5 revolve around the proper management and disposal of garbage. Ships must have a garbage management plan or GMP approved by the ship's flag state. This plan detailed procedure for the handling, storage, processing, and proposal of garbage. The GMP must be readily available on board for inspection. Ships are required to display placards indicating the regulation for garbage disposal and to establish clear procedure for crew member to follow. This ensure awareness and proper handling of waste materials. Annex 5 especially prohibits the discharge of certain types of garbage into the sea at any time. This includes plastic regardless of size and food waste within 12 nautical miles of land. The reflect of the persist treated this material pose to marine life. Discharge of other garbage is permitted only under specific condition, often depending on the distance from land and type of quantity of waste. Commuting and grinding device may be used to reduce particle size before discharge. But even then, regulation on distance from land remain. Designated special areas by the IMO have stricter regulation often prohibiting the discharge of more type of garbage. These areas such as Baltic Sea and Mediterranean Sea are particularly sensitive ecosystem. Ships are required to maintain a garbage record book documenting all garbage disposal activities. This record keeping is important for monitoring compliance and identifying potential areas for improvement. The book must be readily available for inspection by port state control officer. While not directly a shipboard requirement, the availability of adequate reception facilities in port is essential for compliance. Ships should be able to easily dispose of their waste assured. Enforcement of MARPOL Annex 5 involves about flag state and port state. The flag state whose flag the ship is registered is primarily responsible for is ensuring compliance. This includes improving GMP, conducting inspection and enforcing penalties for non-compliance. Port states can inspect ship to verify compliance. Non-compliance can lead to detention of the vessels and penalties. MARPOL Annex 5 is important to protecting the marine environment from the harmful impact of ship-generated garbage. Effective implementation relies on port, state, the availability of adequate reception facilities, and the consist adherence to the regulation by the shipping industry. Continuous improvement in waste management technologies and practice is also vital for minimizing the pollution from ships. And lastly, the MARPOL Annex 6. MARPOL Annex 6 focusing on the prevention of air pollution from ships. It outlined regulation concerning sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxides, volatile organic compounds, particulate matters, ozone depleting substance, and the International Air Pollution Prevention certificates. The International Convention for the Prevention of Air Pollution from Ships is a comprehensive international treaty aimed to minimizing pollution of the marine environment. Annex 6 of MARPOL, especially addressing the air pollution, sets forth requirements for the control of emission from ships. This report provides a detailed overview of these requirements highlighting their importance in protecting both of marine and atmospheric environments. MARPOL Annex 6 applies to all ships regardless of size or of any type, except for warship, naval auxiliary vessels, and ship owned or operated by a state and used only for non-commercial service. This broad scope underscore the global nature of air pollution from ships and the need for widespread regulatory control. The the regulation the regulations cover various pollutants emitted from ships, engines, and other onboard operation. MARPOL Annex 6 established regulations for several key pollutants. Regulation limits the sulfur contents of fuel oil used by ships. These limits have progressively tight over time, with the global sulfur cap currently set at 0.5% emission. Control areas exist with even thicker limit of 0.10% of North American and Baltic Sea. Ship must either use complement fuel of installed exhaust gas cleaning system to meet these requirements. Regulation limits emission from marine diesel engine through technical measures such as engine design and operational parameters. The specific requirements verified depending on the engine size and type. Regulation control VOC emission from cargo tanks and other sources. This regulation aims to minimize the formation of ozone and other harmful pollutant. Regulation indirectly control PM emission through the sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide limits. PM is largely produced from the combustion of fuel. So, reduction of sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide also reduce PM. The use of handling of ODS are strictly regulated to protect the ozone layer. The phase out of ODS in ship refrigerant and other application is mandated. Regulation govern the integration of garbage on board ship, ensuring safe and environmental sound. Practice control measure are placed to minimize emission and harmful substance. Ship must be obtained an IAPP certificate demonstrating compliance with the relevant regulation of Annex 6. This certificate is subject to regular survey and inspections. ECAs are specific areas where striker emission control apply. These areas are designed due to their environmental sensitivity and vulnerability of air pollution. Ships operating with ECAs must adhere to the more stringent emission limits for sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide. Enforcement of MARPOL Annex 6 relies on combination of flag state and port state. The regulation under MARPOL Annex 6 are continuously evolving to reflect advancement in technology and growing understanding of the impact of ship emission. Dahil IMO regularly review and updates the regulation to further reduce air pollution from ships. MARPOL Annex 6 plays an important role in mitigating air pollution from ships, contributing to both protection of the marine environment and global air quality. Ongoing efforts to strengthen the update this regulation demonstrate the international community commitment to reducing the environmental impact of ship.